All right, so today we are filming episode 2. We're going up to Pawsitively Trained to meet with Jessica Ellis. She's started a dog training business. So that's gonna be today's episode. We're gonna learn about dog training and the ins and outs of that. So that's gonna be something very different than last week's episode of classic cars. So we're gonna hopefully get some cool clips as we drive across town. Try to get some of the dogwoods that are blooming all over the place, and then see some dogs, learn some of the basics of what needs to be involved in training you and your dog, so that you have the best and safest relationship with your pet. Jessica's been training dogs for a while. Did that when she lived down in Florida. Now she's living up here in Fayetteville. Continuing that as her own business to work under someone. So it's going to be a very different angle on business, but again, that main topic of hitting on local business and talking about the people here in the community and what they're doing and how that interacts. Here for episode 2 of Biz Chat NC, and I'm here with Jessica Ellis, the owner of Pawsitively Trained. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So just to get started, can you kind of give a backstory of where you came from and how ultimately you got into the dog training as your thing that you do?
Sure. Yeah, I grew up on a farm in Missouri, and obviously I was surrounded by animals. Mm-hmm. And so I always loved dogs because they were always around, and all my friends had dogs. And I did not like a lot of times how they were treated when they were trained. There's got to be a better way to, train a dog. That if you can train a wolf or you can train another animal without, hitting them with the newspaper or your hand or anything like that, then I wanted to learn how to do it. So that's how I got into it. I went to school for it and got my certification. And that's how I got started with it.
What are right now? What are some of the services you're offering? I'm sure dog training has a wide spectrum from professional working animals down to the household pets. So where do you sit in the services you're offering right now?
So right now we're doing in-home training, mm-hmm. At the client's house, and it's more of the basic household pet. Okay. I also do tricks. Problem solving, things that people are having issues with. Another service that I offer is public outings. So once they pass the basic obedience test and everything that I have, the lessons that I have, then I'm willing to take people out to Home Depot or PetSmart or something like that, and work with them around strangers and being around other people and how to behave in a public environment.
So more of that socializing aspect, not just the sit stay.
Right. So yeah, I offer sit stay, puppy training, old, young. But yeah, it's more when you do the public outing. It's more of how to pay attention to the owner, okay. and avoid the distractions. You can do it the socialization way if you want, but most people, when you go out and you have your dog on a leash, you don't want every single person coming up, to them. So it's more of a teaching them how to ignore distractions in that situation. But yeah, and then I also do, like I mentioned before, I'm a certified trick trainer as well. So we do, pretty much wherever you want. Get me a bottle of water out of the fridge, jumping through hoops, the lay down, sit pretty, all that stuff. But yeah, it's a wide variety of pretty much, whatever you want. I don't do the working dogs, bite work, stuff like that. And I also don't do service dogs as of right now, just because a lot of people have a misconception that a service dog is, hey, I got a certificate, I can take them wherever I want, which is a lot of what people are trying to do. Mm-hmm. And I think that's unfair because service dogs go through most of the time, years of training. Yeah. Sometimes, 1 or 2 years of training to become certified, and some people actually need service dogs. Yeah. So I don't want to shortchange or give service dogs a bad name
Yeah.
by training them whenever I'm not actually certified in service dog training. So.
Okay. So what do you think the thing that makes like you different from anyone else out there that's maybe doing dog training in this area?
So I think what makes me a little different is I go to your house to train. So the dog's in a comfortable environment.
Yeah.
Anytime you're trying to train a dog and you bring them into a new environment, new people, everything like that, it takes a little bit. It's possible to do, but it just takes a little bit longer for the dog to calm down most of the time and get used to the surroundings. You know, it's more convenient for the family because the whole family can participate. If you have kids, they can learn. And it's a little more structured. I do nights and weekends because a lot of people work during the day.
Yeah.
So by going to the people's houses, I can, you know, go around their schedule more.
Yeah, so
and
there's that convenience aspect to it.
Right, it's convenience, and then, you know, I have I'm not in it for the money, I'm in it for keeping dogs out of shelters and stuff is like a main reason, because most of the time dogs are given up to shelters is because of lack of training.
Yeah.
People get tired of things, people get bit, children get bit, and all that can be prevented most of the time with training.
Yeah.
And you know, the more dogs you train, the less likely they're going to be in a shelter, and you know, that's just winning for everybody.
Okay, so there's a much bigger why behind what you're doing.
Right, yeah. It's you know, I have a rescue dog. I've done a lot of fostering, and I've done volunteer work at the shelters, and you know, it's a big, you know, passion of mine, because people, a lot of things that I see, the reasons people give up their dogs could have been solved if they just would have got them trained.
Okay.
You know, it's a lot of this stuff is preventative.
Mm-hmm. Who would you describe as like your average customer right now that's coming in to get their dog trained?
So a lot of them is families, younger families. They'll, you know, they'll get a puppy or something like that. That's what I'm working with a lot of, is a lot of puppies. And, you know, the typical, they usually have a kid or two. But yeah, just your average everyday family.
So what are some of the main issues that dog owners have, like, you know, the between the dog and them that you're solving for people?
A lot of the issues that I'm seeing, besides just the basic puppy training, which is not an issue, that's just preventative. I've got a lot of calls about aggression cases. Okay. So what happens is a lot of times people will get a dog, like a young dog or a puppy, and they'll raise it a certain way without any training, and then what was cute whenever they were puppies is not cute when the dog is 80 to 100 pounds, right? So, and then they try to fix it themselves, and they can sometimes make it much, much worse. So, you know, some of the aggression cases I have gotten calls about are things that, you know, when they tell me what they're doing to fix it or what causes it, it's either fear aggression. It's mostly fear aggression. I've only had one person call me and tell me that it was just territorial aggression. But I never got to evaluate that dog, so I'm not sure. But yeah, that's like the biggest issue, I would say, that I see as a problem. Like, but you know.
So the dog starts with a bad habit, and then now it's stuck in. And
right, it gets worse. Yeah, people try to fix it, and they don't know how, or they do what they think or what they know of what they've done in the past with other dogs. Some things doesn't work with every dog. You know,
they've all got their personalities and types.
And that's why whenever I guess that's another thing that makes me unique, is the fact that I don't go by, okay, today it's training day 1, we're going to do this, this, and this. Training day 2, we're going to do this, this, and this. All my plans are customizable. I go into a home with an open mind, and the owners tell me what's wrong,
Okay.
and I ask them, you know, what do you need? What do you want me to work on? And based on what they tell me is what I train on. So
it's not like the standard template. It's much more, you're like results oriented. That this is the end state you're working towards.
right. So people will be like, you know, I want my dog to walk nicely on a leash, but it has no formal training at all. Well, the end game is to walk on the leash.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, they have to learn to, you know, pay attention to the owner, come to the owner, not be distracted. There's a lot of things that go into it, and that's why whenever I go into a training situation, I just go in with an open mind and listen to the customer, and then from there structure what I think is going to give them the best result.
Okay. Yeah, it's something I've noticed a lot. It doesn't matter what you do, whether it's more of a technical or a social. Like, if you walk in with assumptions, you can end up tripping over something that you should have seen on day one.
Right.
I've seen that, especially if you've been in an industry a while. It's easy to make assumptions about what you're seeing. So that is a big differentiator between following the book, because this is what the book says, versus pausing and really digging into an issue.
Right, and that's what I was saying about your point about dogs having different personalities. I could have one dog that they learn sit in 3 minutes, and I got another dog that it may take a couple sessions before they have it down pat. It just depends. You know, it just depends on the personality, what the dog likes, what they dislike. You know, I don't make the dog do anything that they find adversive. So, you know, if a dog doesn't want to roll over and they just refuse to roll over, I'm not going to force them to do that. There might be an underlying medical issue. They might have pain or something, or they might just not like being on their back. Yeah. So, I just evaluate the dog, evaluate the family, and then I make a custom plan for them.
Yeah, I think I was reading a thing the other day about negotiating, and the guy wrote, like, negotiating is letting the other side have your way. And I think that's probably a good way of describing training, is letting the dog have your way. It's not a forced, it's much more of a drawing in process.
Right.
So what are some of the basic skills every dog and their owner should master, and why?
So one of the biggest issues that I see, especially you know, you observe out in public, is dogs not coming to their owners. Yeah. And to me, that's a really big issue, because it can save your dog's life. Yeah. You know, if you cannot solidly call your dog to you at your house, it's going to be impossible to call them to you out in public. Especially if there's a squirrel or a rabbit or anything like that.
Some sort of noise distraction.
Yeah, anything. You know, I have a pretty good rule that if it's 100% in the house, like the dog 100% comes to you every single time you call him, take him outside of his environment with distractions, it's going to go down to about 75%, is what I have seen from my experience. So, you know, people I hear all the time, well, he listened to me at home. Well, you're not at home. There's no distractions there. So that's a big one. And then another skill that I find is very helpful is pay attention to me. Look. A lot of that goes back to the distractions not only come to me, but learning to ignore, you know, the skateboarder, learning to ignore the squirrel or something like that. They kind of go hand in hand, because if they pay attention to the owner, then they're more likely to come to you. Yeah. So
it kind of goes back, like, you know, the adage, like I've seen it in the military, you don't rise your expectations, you sink to your training. I think all of us who've trained a task and then gone in the real world and things go sideways, you discover your hands turn into mittens, and you know, sound and everything, like the things you don't think you would pay attention to somehow become important, and you miss the obvious. Right. So that's, I can see what works great in the house, go real world, and suddenly your results drop off. I got like something in my throat. That's okay.
We'll have to make sure in the future we'll have like bottled water or something.
Lessons learned added to the notes. But so what are some of the ways you've been marketing, and what's worked for you so far? What have been some of the flops, like the good, the bad, as you've tried to communicate out what you're doing to people?
So I have a website. Yep. That's the first thing I created.
Yep, that'll be linked down in the description.
And then I also have Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
Also will be linked.
Yes.
So, for me, the biggest problem with marketing, and I guess it's because I don't ask the questions, is how did you hear about us?
Yeah.
Because I do get calls all the time, but I don't know if you got it from my business card, or if they got it from my website, if they got it from Facebook, Instagram, because the calls just come through.
Yeah.
And if I get, the only way I do know is if they send me an email through my website. That's the only way I definitely know it got through my website.
Okay.
But a lot of emails come through my website, but I also get a lot of attention on Instagram.
Yeah.
Facebook, I get attention as well. But for some reason, Instagram tends to do a little better.
Well, I think because Facebook's a more mature platform, like, I mean, think how many of us have been on Facebook now for closing it on 10 years.
Right.
Versus Instagram being newer. And I think it's a cleaner interface. It's not as overloaded. There's a lot more attention on Instagram, especially as younger people have gotten off Facebook because their grandparents got on it.
Right.
There's been this shift. I think everyone I've talked to, like, Instagram's probably like the platform that is producing the most attention for what they're doing. And I think that's part of that is that shift in attention away from, there was MySpace, then Facebook, and I think Instagram has started to become like the platform.
Right. Yeah, I share everything on Facebook and Instagram, so when I make something on Instagram, I automatically share it to my Facebook page. But I'll get more likes, more attention, more views, definitely on Instagram. And then I do know that my business cards are working, because I have asked a couple people, but I really don't have my business cards out there like I should.
Yeah.
So that's another marketing thing, is I'm not really sure where I need to put my cards, and then you have to have that friendship with the business that you are displaying your cards in as well. So. And
that's kind of there's like the fun thing going on, like like the traditional media, like the print, the business card. There's that. Then there was radio and TV came in, and now we have the layer of the internet, and it all works to one degree or another. But it's a question of how much. Like I look at like what it costs me to print business cards versus what it costs me to run Facebook ads.
Right.
And there's that's that cost. I mean, I can leave business cards somewhere for a long time versus an Instagram or a Facebook boost is going to show up in someone's feed that one time.
Right.
But where's the attention? What's the cost? And figuring out what works is I can't remember who said it. He was like, half the money I spend on marketing is a waste. I just don't know which half. I think that's been something that's always plagued business, is figuring out which part of your marketing is the thing that works.
Right.
The thing I've found is either dealing with people and working on some of the programs I've helped run and things I've done is a lot of it is it's a numbers game. Like you just have to try, and then see what worked, shift, double down, try again, and the faster you can do that process, the better.
Right.
The good thing I like about like Instagram, Facebook, and all that is there's a lot more real world data. Like you said, before we started recording, you're talking about you had a video that just popped, like you posted it, wild success, and you have like I think we've all also had those videos we posted and we're like it was almost the same as another one, went crazy and you got nothing.
Right.
So there's that balance, and I think a lot of that comes back to just repetition and trying things until you get that trial and error, because things are shifting, it's always changing.
Right.
But it's that trial and error, that volume that you're putting out. Yeah, like I run into the same thing in my business. Like I'll get calls and emails from people, and I don't know, was it the website, was it a video on Instagram or Facebook, like what was it? I think that's something all of us could work on tightening up, is understanding what is generating the lead. And some of the time I think it's just getting in the habit of asking. Like I know I'm bad about it. I think a lot of people were bad at like, how did you hear about us? And that's part of that was it Franklin Covey and the 4 Disciplines of Execution, like Stephen Covey wrote that, talked about like lead measures, figuring out not after the fact but in process what's happening. Is I know that's something I need to work on more.
Right.
I think we can all do more to figure out on the front end as we get stuff in.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask people about how did you hear about us, because I know from getting asked by other businesses, I'd rather you ask me in person or on the phone than send me a survey.
Yeah.
Or have something pop up on my feed, like, did you like us? How did you hear about us?
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's more personal,
Yeah.
and I don't know if that's just because I'm not the young generation anymore, but I definitely find it I will give you a feedback to somebody if they ask me on the phone. I almost never fill out surveys.
Well, I think there is something to be said for being personal. I can think of, I've gotten on planes, flown to other countries, and had a meeting when we could have just picked up the phone.
Right.
But there's something different about when you're sitting in a room. Like, I can send an email, or I can have a conference call, or I can have a meeting, and if I have the time and the availability, a meeting's always a way better experience
Right.
between two people. And I think that's pretty universal. Like, at the end of the day, you don't have all the context. Like, I can't watch the other person's face, hear the tone of their voice. Like, surveys are good for bulk data, but it still doesn't give you all the things that would have gotten left out because you asked the wrong question. I know that's something I've run into in I just got done running a real big program, and I realized our surveys were only as good as the questions we asked.
Right.
And there was a lot of things we learned accidentally from customers that we never would have found out in our survey, because we're sitting in our ivory tower running the program. There was just stuff that the customers were doing that we never would have known until we accidentally found it out, and there was like these aha moments.
Right.
So yeah, definitely hands-on talking to people is a big shift that I think we got. It's not automated. You can't automate it, but it is very valuable. I think we already hit on this with like the change in attention. Like, you know, we talked about a little before we started recording, like how we watch stuff, how we listen to music, the apps we're using. Like, where are you at? Like, I know, like, right now we're like.
So for me, I don't watch TV unless it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix or something like that. I just, you know, the only thing I really watch TV for is sports.
Yeah.
And then honestly, the ads I just mute so I can talk. You know, so I don't watch a lot of TV. As far as music, I'm either on YouTube doing a playlist of a certain genre, or I do have Spotify as well. But yeah, that's what I do for like entertainment, like watching, you know, TV or something like that. So things have definitely changed, because I used to watch TV all the time, but now that I'm older, and I only want to watch what I have time to watch. I only have a certain window where I can relax and watch TV, and I don't want to have to wait on commercials and everything. I would rather either buy the series or wait till it comes out than have to sit there and deal with ads and everything else.
Every time at this time.
Right. And yes, it's very limiting. It's I can't watch a show like everybody else does, or like people who are really addicted to the shows, because I'm busy, you know.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up, and I think I've seen in a lot of businesses, there's a disconnect between the behavior as you, a human being, versus how people in business think about marketing.
Right.
They're like, this is the theory of marketing, and then they go home and do exactly like everyone else.
Right.
And like, I Netflix, YouTube, Hulu. I'm not watching a TV. Like, if you're buying TV ads to run on a local news station, the odds of you, me, Jesse, like anyone else actually seeing it are astronomically low, versus if you boost an Instagram post.
Right. Yeah.
I'm way more like, I think we were much more likely to see that.
Right.
The same with like music. Like, I can't remember the last time I've actually jumped in my car and listened to a radio station. No, it's like I plug in my phone and I'm streaming something. So that's something I think all businesses, if you just stop and think about your behavior and think about what are you doing, you're much more likely to reach an audience, because the audience is so much like you, especially in a local area like this. We're all kind of doing the same thing, more or less.
Yeah, I don't. That's another thing, is the radio. Honestly, 90% of the time you get in the car and you turn on the radio, there's an ad, and I'm just like, nope.
We've gotten tired of getting yelled at through the bullhorn.
Exactly.
So I think that's one of the reasons why social has gotten so big, and like so many of us are having so much success with it, is because when you go from being a commercial to you become the show, you become the entertainment. Like you're talking about, you had that video, you know, a couple of the dogs playing, and that shot through the roof.
It did.
It was indirectly an ad for what you're doing, but it felt much more like watching The Office versus watching the commercials, but in the breaks.
Right.
I think becoming media versus running ads is a shift. I think a lot of businesses haven't quite gotten in the habit of thinking of, how do I become the TV show rather than the ads in the break.
Yeah, it was the post that the video that went got a lot of hits on it. It was just live dog training. That's all it was. I mean, granted, it was two puppies playing, but and that's dog. People love dogs. People love puppies. But I've posted other videos of them as well. But that one, I don't know if it was like we talked before. I don't know if it was timing or if it was just that it was live dog training. It had a point to it. It wasn't just, hey, here's two puppies playing. It was, here's two puppies playing, and then I called them out of play before things got too rough or anything like that, and they came to me. So I don't know if it's the training aspect or if it's the fact that it had a point to it. I'm not really sure. So
we do better with story. Like, we think in narrative. Like, that's something I've realized in my time working in the marketing world is events in and of themselves aren't good, but if you can connect the events by story, it becomes powerful. And something like that. Like, there was a story, even if it is something as simple as a couple second clip, you can still pack a story in.
Right.
So, so what are some of the things you've seen, like trends in the area or trends in the dog world that are going on?
So, and this is a soapbox a little bit for me, but one of the trends that I see is this service dog.
Yeah.
The service dogs are blown up all over the place. And I'm not all of them, but a lot of them that I see, I can walk into, Walmart or wherever I'm at, and I see a dog, I can tell you if that's a real service dog or not.
Yeah.
Dogs that are yapping at other people, getting at the end of the leash, dragging their owner everywhere, if the owners are yelling at these dogs and stuff. I see it all the time in airports that says service dog. People are just doing that because they get fake certificates, and then they take them to airports so they can fly with their dog. And I get it, you want to take your dog on vacation, but honestly what that does is it hurts the real service dogs. It hurts the people that have service dogs, because if you see a dog that has service dog on it and they're barking and just being crazy, the next time you see a vest on a dog that says service dog, it may be a legitimate service dog. But your opinion's automatically going to turn to, I bet you that's not a real service dog because that other one wasn't. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of. I'm seeing a lot of non-service dogs wearing the vest. And it, you've seen it online and stuff about the support alligators and stuff like that. It's the same, to me it's the same amount of ridiculousness because it's just, you're hurting the service. People legitimately need service dogs and they legitimately help people, but it gets a really bad stigma because I even find myself doing it. I do it myself. I see a dog and I'm like, is that a real service dog or not? Because it's just gotten so crazy with all these emotional support and everything. I just hope people realize that there's a legitimate need for real service dogs, and whenever you go and get that fake certificate and you just so you can go on vacation, it really hurts not only dog trainers, but it also hurts, people who actually need the dog. They get more, they might have to go through more checks during TSA screenings, or, they might get more grief from business owners because they've had so many bad dogs come into their business that they're like, show me paperwork. Is this legitimate service dog? So, I don't know. That's a trend that really is important to me. Because it's just, and that's another reason that I don't train service dogs, is because I'm like so passionate about it that I'm so tired of seeing that. It really, really is upsetting, and it really hurts the community.
And there's I haven't spent much time around service dogs, but like my time in Iraq and deployments, we spent a lot of time around working dogs.
Right.
Like they were out there sniffing for bombs and stuff like that while we were doing our operation. And there's definitely a noticeable difference between a trained working dog, like it's there for a specific reason. Like we're all piling in a helicopter, the dog's right there just chilling,
Right.
And that was a very noticeable difference how those dogs behave and act, because they're there for a purpose, and that versus what you see like the average pet that someone has, and there's a very clear difference between an animal that's there to work and.
Yeah, and that's another point is the working dog. That's why I don't work with working dogs either, because they go through very specific programs and they have a very specific purpose. You know, I would never want to train a dog to sniff bombs and then certify them and then they don't know how to sniff bombs and someone else gets hurt. So I know the tack vests that they make for little dogs and stuff, and all the patches and stuff look cute, and the goggles and everything like that. You know, if they legitimately need it for like safety and stuff like that, fine. But if you walk in with a tack vest and it says working dog or canine unit or something like that, again, it hurts the legitimate working dogs, you know, because people see them and they're like, oh, hey, that's a working dog, and then it's going bananas. They're gonna think that, you know, all working dogs are scary, or all working dogs are gonna bite them and stuff like that. It's not true. There's, you know, not every working dog's a biter and stuff. So, yeah, for me, I want people to know, to be very cognizant of what you are doing. It may look cute, it may look awesome, your dog may be cool walking around with the tack vest, but, you know, think about how that affects, you know, real working dogs and the handlers and the opinion that the public has on dogs like that. So
I think that's something we can be said for all industries, that there are people who are in their industry because they love it and they're passionate about it and they want to do the best for people through their craft. And then there's a lot of other knockoffs that are running around, like, you know, I can think of, like, in the drone world, there's those of us, we legitimately want to safely use the airspace to solve people's problems, but there's a lot of other people that don't want to play by the rules. And I think every industry's got that tension between the wannabes versus the legitimate craftsmen they're doing the good work of their trade, and, you know, people are better for it, but you do have that problem. You get lumped in with, or your craft gets tarnished by the ones that are just trying to make a quick buck.
exactly, and that's another thing is you don't have to have a certification per se to be a dog trainer. There's no, you know, there's no law that I know of out there that says, you know, you can't practice dog training as freelance, right? So what that does, again, to certified dog trainers, the ones that have actually taken tests and actually have done hands-on, been tested hands-on with dogs and everything like that, you know, that hurts us as a dog trainer, because, you know, I've had people when I first started dog training, they'd be like, hey, I took my dog to this place, or I had my cousin, you know, train my dog and now he's doing this behavior. And then it's a lot harder to train that out once something's been trained. And it can be done. It's just, had you found a legitimate dog trainer or someone who was actually certified, you probably wouldn't have that behavior in the first place.
And that's where, like, you know, people say practice makes perfect. I disagree with that when I say practice makes permanent. Like, if you practice something wrong enough times, it becomes a permanent bad behavior. I mean, there's been plenty of work by, like, psychologists and others that have shown how repetition drills stuff in the, like, I mean, there's, like, physical things that happen in your brain with repetition, and like, getting it right the first time is key to, like, any craft.
Right, and that goes to the training that I have. You know, it's like Pavlov, and you know, it's behavior training. It's knowing dog psychology, why they do the certain things they do, how to get them to do the certain things that you want to do, and that's another thing about being a certified trainer, is you learn about stuff like that. You learn the how and the why, not just, you know, I mean, anyone can grab a leash and force a dog. You're bigger than a dog, you know, to do things. But when the dog wants to work for you, it's more rewarding for you and the dog, and it's, you know, it's just, honestly, just that keeps dogs out of shelters, and it helps to keep dogs out of shelters. So,
So there's a lot, like, I'm realizing more and more, whether it's, like, I come from more of a marketing background, but when you understand the underlying whys, why this works, why it doesn't, why it's, like, it opens up a whole new world of things like they just start fitting together, and like until you know the lie underneath, like you're just going to treat symptoms instead of addressing a problem.
Exactly.
And that's not like a level to get down to that point where you actually understand the underlying whys is a level of mastery of any field.
Right. Yeah, I'm still learning. I have some cases that I'm like, why are they doing this?
Yeah.
I don't understand. This worked for 50 other dogs, but it's
Yeah.
not working for this one. But you just, instead of getting frustrated, you have to just try something different. You know, go into your bag of tricks that
Yeah.
you know you learn when you're getting your certifications. You know, not everything's going to work for everybody. Not everything's going to work for every dog. So, yeah, it's good to always refresh, and that's why with the certifications that I have, you have to keep re-upping them.
Yeah.
You can't just get it one time and be like, okay, I'm done,
Yeah.
because you forget stuff. If you don't use it, you know, you lose it. So, yeah, it's always good to stay up on your craft, and you know, it's always good to make sure that, you know, if you are saying that you are a certified trainer, that you keep up with your certifications, so you don't give the rest of us a bad name.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. But how can people, you know, check you out, follow you? Yeah,
So my website is Pawsitively Trained LLC.com, and then my Facebook and Instagram are both Pawsitively Trained LLC, and positive is spelled PAWS.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that'll be linked down in the comments.
Right.
You can follow and just check it out. Well, I appreciate you sitting down.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. And looking forward to doing this again.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
all right. Everybody, thanks for watching today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you found this valuable in any way, I'd really hope you go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, share it, with some friends, and make sure you follow today's guest. If you're a local business in the Fayetteville, Fort Bragg, greater area, and you want to be on the show, our email's down below. Just shoot us an email. We'll schedule a time. We want to help promote the local community, and that's the whole purpose of the show, is to tell the story of local businesses. So if you're in the area and you're running a business, shoot us an email. We'll get you scheduled. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day.